What's up, everyone? Today, I'm your host, Thomas Stoneham-Judge, leading conversation with our team on the latest movie releases. This week on ForReel, we're discussing M3GAN 2.0, and maybe we can figure out what was needed to rescue this movie from itself. I've got Derrick Murray here, I've got Ethan Hunter here, and we got a great show for you this week on ForReel. Gents, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you for having
Yeah,
me.
always
Such an
always
honor.
excited. Let's hold on to your vaginas, guys.
That's great. We're definitely going to jump into M3GAN 2.0 conversation, and there's so many things that there is to talk about with this movie, and maybe so much disappointment that we just need. Perhaps this will just be a therapy session on how much we wanted this movie to be a little bit better than what it was. So we're gonna get into that a little bit later. But yeah, I want to start with topics from this week. There's been some interesting news developments this week, and the first thing I want to start with is probably the biggest thing of the week, which is Denis Villeneuve heading the Bond franchise on Amazon. What an announcement. Derrick, let's start with you on this one. When you heard this news, what was your first immediate reaction here?
I think my first immediate reaction was like it was kind of all the range of emotion. Like it went from hell yeah to oh god to let him make original stuff to not another franchise to why is this on Amazon to oh yeah corporate media is awful and destroying cinema. So there was a lot of things that happened when this announcement came out. I think mostly the way I feel is I I think that where Villeneuve is now is probably the best time for him to do something like this. I look back at the things that I think he does really well, and I think with just a little bit more kind of tongue in cheek comedy, that he might be able to inject. If you watch some of it, like if you watch like his real early work, he does kind of play in some of that like dark humor, black comedy style. So he has it in him. Obviously, those things are super early. And he's one of the few filmmakers I've done a full rewatch of all of his filmography. So everything he's made, I've seen. And look, the guy knows action, which is something you need for James Bond. The guy knows cool. So if you watch Sicario, he brings a coolness to Sicario that is just set up against the way that he can film and create just tense, thrilling things when nothing is happening. Like the guy knows how to do this. So I think a lot of people want him to get out of the kind of franchise machine. But if you really look at all the things that he's done, when you talk about like his early work and you talk about Incendies and Enemy and Sicario and all these original works that he's worked on already, he's done that. He's already done the indie filmmaker breakout thing, and yeah, he's trapped in Dune, but now he gets to be trapped in a cool ass spy movie, and so I'm into it. I'm interested. Let's see what happens.
Very interesting points there. I love the optimism. Ethan, what was your take when you heard this news?
So I am one of the Denny enjoyers. I've seen all of his films. I own most of them on physical media.
Are you gonna pull out some more cool like box sets?
No,
Yeah, like
everything
a
already packed.
fancy fancy box set Blu-ray of Maelstrom.
I unfortunately don't. But I've seen all of his films, including like August 32nd on Earth, which not many people have seen.
That's a
It's
weird ass
fine.
movie. That's a
Yeah,
weird ass movie.
the comedy you mentioned definitely shows up in Maelstrom, I feel, more than anything else. I feel like a lot of his other work is pretty upsetting on a range from like gritty to upsetting besides that one there, because it's kind of bizarre because it has this framing device of a fish who's being chopped up into like food or whatever, telling the story, narrating. But I think this is going to be more of the same for James Bond, because if I saw Skyfall when I was a kid, I saw Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace a couple years ago. So I've yet to see Spectre and No Time to Die, but they seem like a lot of the same kind of vibe. And it seems that Denis, looking at his past work, unless he tries to do something very differently, it's going to be a bit more in that same wheelhouse. Like, it's not going to be something like if Edgar Wright made a James Bond. And seeing things like Denis not being able to have final cut on this movie, it's not going to be him at his best. Like, it's not going to be him at his Dune. It's going to be at like a more neutered level, and I think just knowing things like that, where it has a chance to just be on the same level of what we've seen and not something unique or mind-blowing. It's just going to be like, yeah, that was a pretty good one. I've not seen any of the older Bond movies. I've played some PS2 games based on a couple of the movies. I know that there was a middle point there where Bond was a bit more cheesy, and I feel like we really could have gotten a more interesting film. Like, I know it was Tony Gilroy and maybe Danny Boyle who pitched a James Bond movie, and I feel like that would have been a lot more interesting, especially because Boyle has a lot of that flair. We talked about 28 years later last week. I just saw his film called The Beach, where there's like this bizarre like video game thing for like 20 seconds, and that was like really fun. And especially in his Trainspotting movies, you get a lot of that like zaniness, and that zaniness is, or like expressionist, I'm not really sure what the word is I'm looking for, but Denis is a very traditional filmmaker. He's more somebody like Nolan, who didn't get to make this movie. Granted, he already made a really great James Bond movie with Tenet, but I mean, it's going to be on paper. Sorry, just to wrap up, it's going to be on paper. Like, it's going to be a good movie. He's never made a bad movie, but it's not going to be revolutionary. And I'll watch it, and I'll probably like it. But
sorry, you said Tenet?
Yeah.
But were we talking about Denis or Nolan?
No,
sorry, I was just. Yeah, I was talking about Nolan. Yeah,
I missed that. Sorry, I was just in a different space. Cool. No, which you're right, for sure. I love all of those perspectives. I'm also very conflicted on this because I love Denis, and anytime he's on a project, I'm with it. I think we're all still kind of disgruntled about what happened with the Bond series and creative control and Amazon. I mean, I don't know, guys. Like, I wonder if there's ever going to be a time when these conglomerates, I actually can trust what they're going to do with the franchise, because I still haven't watched Rings of Power. Like, just not interested in the expansion of Lord of the Rings, sponsored by, our biggest, consumer conglomerate in the world, so like, this gives me a little bit of optimism for maybe it'll be good, but I don't know. I guess I didn't hear about the final cut decisions. So I don't know what that means. I can't imagine Denis would sign on just for the paycheck, and I am confident there are a lot of zeros on that check for him. But I can't imagine he would sign on just for the paycheck. And so I hope that there is an agreement there that works in the benefit of his creative vision and for his storytelling capabilities and filmmaking capabilities. And we'll have to see what the final product is. So I guess for me, I'm slightly more enthusiastic about it than I was last week, but this is we'll have to see how details unfold from there. So
not to drag it on too long, because I know
this is
go
for it.
A M3GAN 2.0 conversation.
Yeah.
But I think who Bond is, who they cast as Bond, will determine what kind of movie we're going to get from Villeneuve.
Just hopefully not Tom Holland.
No.
Oh
God,
no,
no. Oh
we
God, no.
tried that already. What was that
No.
movie he did with Mark
Uncharted.
Wahlberg? Uncharted.
Yeah,
Guys,
no.
no, please,
No.
please don't.
No.
Apparently, he was on like the list of 3 names I saw on like
Yeah,
some outlet being
there's
like
a
him taking
short
authority and
list.
whatever.
Yeah,
Look,
there's a short list, and he shouldn't be on it at all.
he
But
he can,
I
yeah,
my point for that is though is if they skew younger. So if you get like I guess Theo James would be kind of the good barometer of somebody who's got kind of that charisma, the look, the charm that you would want. If they skew younger, then I think this will be a little bit of a break from a lot of the films, the more recent ones that Ethan kind of listed out, right? Because if you skew into kind of that younger way, there's almost no way to do it without having kind of some of that swarmy, seductive, like arrogant kind of guy. But if you skew older, now you're getting into more of that Daniel Craig, jaded. I've been doing this for too long. I'm too old for this shit. Like, which is a little bit more in Villeneuve's wheelhouse. I actually do kind of want the swing to be, if we're going to do this, then everyone should be challenged. And that should include Villeneuve. It should be Amazon. It should be the Bond franchise. Like, I think we need to breathe some life into it. So I'm hoping that's where they skew. Obviously not Holland, but someone in the vein of like a Theo James type of guy.
Yeah, I'd agree. We'll see how that develops. We'll probably talk about it again at some point whenever more news surfaces. So there's that. Now, the other thing that I wanted to address before we jump into M3GAN was the first wave of TIFF announcements. And by wave, I mean there were 5 titles announced in addition to the opening night film, which was already announced. I don't remember what it was. I'll look it up. But the 5 films that were announced, world premieres, we have The Captive. I'm going to try to say these names right. The Captive by Alejandro Amenabar. And then The Christophers, Steven Soderbergh. Love to see that. Good News by Sung Hyun Bayan, South Korean film. Then there's Heda by Nia DaCosta. And then Mile End Kicks by one of my favorites, Chandler Levack. And I think this is a really, really interesting selection of films here. It's gotten me excited seeing Levick on the docket for a new film this year. Soderbergh film. Hida looks really interesting. And so yeah, and of course anything from South Korea, I'm like, yeah, let's go. This should be interesting. So Ethan, why don't we start with you? Did you get a chance to look into any of these titles or any sticking out to you?
I saw Ocean's 11 before at some point in my life. That's about all I can say here. I'm sorry, but Nia DaCosta is gonna make 28 Years Later Part 2. I think she did a Candyman.
These goddamn Gen Zers. No respect for cinema. No respect.
I mean, hey, if I get in there, I'd like to see as much as I can into TIFF.
Of course. All right, Derrick, let's as M3GAN might say, take him to school.
Bro, listen, I'm gonna get a printout for you so you can read it at your own pace. So first of all, my guy Soderbergh, that boy just stays working. Like he just refuses to have and I know he has one, but like he just is not alive unless he's behind the camera doing something.
3rd film this year.
How that man, we do not deserve a workhorse like that. And I appreciate his constant innovation, his constant experimentation. No 2 movies are really ever alike, even though he's got kind of his, I think Black Bag is him dipping back into his bag, so to speak, where he does the ensemble spy kind of espionage thriller really, really well. But like, I dug Presence, even though I don't think everything worked in there. He's always trying to find something new. And the fact that he's this late in his career and he's made this many movies and he's still trying to do something else, it's just, I love it. Like I am 100% seated. So I think the Christophers looks crazy interesting. Anytime you put Soderbergh's name on there, I'm all in. And then I am not fully sold on Nia DaCosta yet. She did do Candyman, which I found to be pretty like competently made, but really kind of confusing in the way that it was constructed as far as a narrative goes. I'm interested to see what she does with 28 Days Later, The Bone Temple. But this is one of the challenges of it's like a gift and a curse, right? When you go to film festivals, is all we get is a still. We get a still, we get a director, and we get a log line. And 9 times out of 10, that's all we get. Unless this movie premiered at Cannes, which none of these movies are. These are all world premieres. So when you get a world premiere that's showing up only at TIFF, that's all we get. Director, still, and logline. And my God, the still for Haida, get out, sold, get away from me. Like, are you fucking kidding me? First of all, Tessa Thompson is like one of the most stunning women of all time. And then you give me this still for Haida looking like better than she's bro. Fucking sign me up. Give me. I will overspend on a ticket to be at the world premiere for this one. And yes, I always love seeing Chandler Levick too. So that's always nice. I'm always down for what they do. I think they do a really good. They make really great films. So yeah, I'm excited, man. If this is the direction of TIFF, just with these 5, and it's only 5 out of 200 plus films that end up showing up there. But this is a pretty good indication of the kind of world premiere and stuff and curated slate that they're going to have for their 50th. And I'm all down for it. So
I just checked the still, and yeah.
That is the correct response. Yeah. It's interesting. I wonder, this one feels like Haida feels like one that, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, Haida. It feels like one that'll probably get a trailer like right before the premiere. I know this happens at Sundance where like the day of or the day before the world premiere, they'll drop a trailer. I hope that's not the case, because I hate when they do that. Like, y'all, I already got my ticket. I'm already going to see it. Stop trying to ruin my experience, you know? Yeah. But because this one, the release date, it'll be in select theaters October 22nd, and then goes to, and then it'll stream on Amazon Prime October 29th. The fact that it's going to theaters makes me think that it's trying to do an awards push. So that might be interesting. So yeah, that's I'm happy to see that on the lineup, and really interested in seeing how that turns out. So all right, guys, let's jump into it. This bitch is back, and we're here to talk about it. Talk about what we liked, what we disliked, our grievances, etc., all that stuff. I want to get we're jumping into our M3GAN 2.0 conversation here, and what I want to start with is initial reactions leaving the theater. Derrick, you walked out of the theater after seeing M3GAN 2.0. I need that first like knee-jerk reaction to the film.
I think I opened the door, got hit with sunlight, and just let out a big sigh. And not in a good way. Like, you know, when you leave the theater and you have to like, whew, like you just saw a movie. That is not the kind of, it was like a sigh of exhaustion and freedom.
Like a groan.
Yeah, groan, more like a groan sigh. Yeah. This I was just left so disappointed. I felt like, you know, I went into something like this with about as low expectations as you possibly could, right? Which I think is the right way to approach an unnecessary sequel to a pretty middling, you know, horror film. I knew that they were abandoning the horror, going straight into action sci-fi comedy, and even by those standards, it still just didn't even bother to clear them. Like, these are like, I put a toddler hurdle on there, and like it's really easy to get over this hump for how low I went in with this. Because really all I wanted to do was be entertained, and I left the theater just bored. Like, it was just boring. It was just a boring film experience. And so yeah, I was pretty, walking back to my car felt like a walk of shame. It was not yeah.
Ethan, let's get your reaction after you walked out of the theater from M3GAN 2.0.
Well, I was thinking, at least I got a free ticket and a free ride, because
which is better than I can say.
Yeah. Like I still feel like I got something taken away from me despite giving nothing to this except my time. It felt like I was watching one of the bottom tier 2020s Marvel movies. Like I was watching
Ooh, yeah.
Eternals or Ant-Man. Just something that there's nothing there. It just wanted to hit the same beats. It had comedy that makes you roll your eyes. Besides maybe one or two, like, oh hey, I know what that is a reference to for like half a second. You'll be like, oh, that chair and that outfit kind of looks like Fritz Lang's Metropolis, or the way that hand rolled around the ground. That's like Evil Dead 2. Like that's what I'm taking away from this, is nothing about what the movie is trying to say, if anything at all. It's just what else is better that it's reminding me of, which is probably the worst thing anything can ever do.
Yeah.
I totally agree, because I'm sitting there thinking about all the, like, there's AI movies that I'm just getting so much like reminders of, like Terminator. There's so much of like Terminator in this movie, but it just doesn't do Terminator justice. It cherry picks from all of these like AI movie inspirations, and doesn't really do a whole lot with them. It's trying to have some message about humanity's relationship with AI and the potential it has if we don't treat it right. Like, and even that message was like a little weird. They got to the
little conflicting too. It felt like, where it's just kind of to Ethan's point, where like it doesn't say anything, and it, like, we don't need it to. So why are you trying so hard to give me something to take away from it? Like, what is the point of going all in on a discussion on AI in a movie that really doesn't care about those things at all?
What I put in my reaction on Twitter, if you don't have me on social media, when I wrote this line, it was like that was like the best way I could put it. It's a lot more self-awareness, but a lot less self-actualization. Like, this movie doesn't actually get to a place where it is getting better. It's just being more aware of itself, but without being better. What does that awareness mean? Like, what does that self-awareness mean? I mean, the comedy is spotty at best. Like, at best, the action is also good when it's happening. Then they have to shoehorn violence in, because I guess that was a part of the original DNA of M3GAN, and so that kind of felt forced. It's just trying to do so many things, and doesn't do any of them well. And I echo the sentiment. I was bored, especially in the first like 30 minutes of the movie.
Ooh,
like,
yeah,
I think
that start is rough.
whew, you guys are laying a lot of groundwork, like, and you're also doing it in like the most patronizing way possible. Like, all these monologues that you have to do to like get us filled in, and like, educate us on like what's going on.
That whole 30 minutes can be summed up in 5. Like,
yeah, oh yeah,
easily.
For something that is trying to tell you how self-aware it is of what it is. I mean, maybe it knew what the first one was, but it doesn't understand the lack of anything it's bringing to this table. It's like, this is 2 hours. You could cut out like a good chunk of this. Like, nobody's here for what the CIA is trying to do with building things. It's like, yeah, we get
goodness.
it. Of course America wants to turn M3GAN into a weapon. Can we move on? Like,
right.
Yeah, no, big time. No, you're absolutely right. And I think that's my frustration too, because to Thomas's point, like, yeah, there's no self-actualization, but then all that does is put a massive damper on all of its self-realization, on all of the self-awareness that it's supposed to have. But then all of those things fall flat because they're undercut by just this huge swath of needless exposition and extra. The fact that M3GAN is basically a side character in her own sequel is one of the most egregious mistakes you could possibly make. Like, the whole time, not even just in that first half hour, but like you should not be waiting for her to come back on screen. And you are. You spend most of this movie just being like, where the fuck is M3GAN?
Where's M3GAN? I like, you know what? I enjoyed the movie most when M3GAN was on screen, which is why it's so baffling that she's so absent so much of this movie. Like, I wish I could like see a summary of the production of this movie and like who like writing this movie, because M3GAN is sassy as fuck, right? And like she does that in the first one, and I think they bring that back. I think it could have been pushed a little bit further, but you know, I think her lines, her delivery, like that's what makes this so entertaining. But as Derrick is saying, it's so undercut by all of this exposition that they're trying to put around her, and I'm like, why? Like, just let M3GAN talk. Okay, I could watch a whole movie of M3GAN just like roasting everyone. Like, drop AI, drop exposition, drop the CIA, just like make this a roast fest and have M3GAN roasting everyone like that. I would pay so much money for that. But it didn't it didn't deliver on that front. I'm interested in if there was anything you guys did like or did appreciate about this movie. Is there some, what's the positive nuggets here? Ethan, does anything come to mind for you? Ooh.
No.
If you're listening, we were watching it and it looked like Ethan froze. Like that question looked like it broke his brain.
I got nothing. I like it's a good thing we had some news to talk about, because nothing's news about. Oh, sorry. There's just nothing I can say about this. I thought the spoilers. It's not like anybody cares. The busted looking M3GAN was kind of neat, I guess. I appreciate how they didn't care to tell you that M3GAN has a secret underground lair, because like it doesn't matter. It didn't bring more of that. Just fucking go with it. You know, it's you're watching a stupid robot make dumb jokes about her pussy. It's not. We're not here for anything else. It's just slop. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I haven't seen the first M3GAN since I first saw it. I don't know if I saw it in the theater or what. I just remember going in. I was like, I mean, that was kind of funny. And I didn't watch any marketing for this movie, and I just expected it to be Terminator to Terminator 2. It's like, what else would they do with a sequel? And that's kind of what they did. But I was just thinking the whole time, it's like, damn, I'm kind of hungry. What am I going to eat after this?
Oh my gosh, Derrick, try not to freeze your screen. Is there anything that you walked away positive on with this movie?
I look, to Ethan's point, he's pretty much right. He pretty much nailed it. My girlfriend was making like grilled salmon and doing all kinds of, so I just like could not wait to leave to go eat good food at home. I mean, there are flashes of full-on camp, and a lot of those, again, like we talked about, like M3GAN just isn't in her own movie enough, but when she is, they really do kind of like let her go off, and those things are the most fun. Whenever she's roasting the humans, whenever she's talking, whenever she's pretty much doing anything, I'm all in. Like, it's very good. There's a great scene between her and Gemma where she's trying to like comfort her and like tell her she's a good parent, and then she just breaks out into song, and there's this banter of Gemma trying to stop her from doing it, and she like shushes her, and like it is whatever, I forgot what the actress's name is, but it is like the only time in the film where I'm like, oh yeah, no, she can actually do this. Like her trying to interrupt her, like, please don't go to the chorus. Like, I was dying. That was so funny, but it's so singular and so separate from everything else surrounding it that we don't get time to really enjoy the silliness and the camp And like, so it has those types of moments. Those types of moments are really funny to me. I found them to be pretty interesting, and you know, kind of a backhand and compliment where it's like, why aren't you doing this the whole movie? That's what it kept making me feel. So even though there were like my small parts like that where I really enjoyed, they're so few and far between that it's like I can't bring my. It's almost I say this a lot with movies that do this, but like I watched it and just thought, okay, so you can do it, you're just choosing not to, and that's even more insulting, right? So that I mean, there are some compliments, but they all surround M3GAN, and she's just not in the movie enough.
Yeah, no, totally agree. I that is easily the best moment of the movie. It's
so funny.
It's great.
So funny.
I actually, there was a point that I mentioned the "take you to school" line. I can't remember that whole exchange, but it was funny how I thought in that moment when she said that line, like, oh, that's like Buffy level campy commentary, like, you know, the one-liners. Yeah, that's exactly. You go watch more Buffy and just like make M3GAN an AI Buffy, right? Like that would be so cool, right? Just the campiness, the cheesiness, like just really lean into it. But yeah, just moments of something interesting that is just surrounded by not greatness. I think that I did appreciate some of the action sequences, particularly towards the end. And I don't know if they just like had a massive swings between good days and bad days of like developing this movie, because the movie toggles back and forth between being, oh, this is actually really interesting, and wow, this is incredibly boring. And I don't know how that happened in the production, but like towards the end, I thought the action was actually really good. I thought they started doing some really interesting things with the camera work and the choreography. But again, it's so singular. Like, I'm sorry you had bad days with like the rest of making this movie, but then had this one good day where you like did this badass action sequence. You know, so yeah, every compliment is paired with something negative, and that's it's very unfortunate with this movie.
I can add on to that, because when you think, oh yeah, that's an interesting thing where it's she's passed out and M3GAN is controlling the body, and then you're like, wait a minute, I saw this in Upgrade in 2018.
Yes, I literally thought Upgrade. Literally like thought about Upgrade. Yep.
Even the same camera move where they go to the ground and they come back up. It's like, you're getting nothing out of this. Just
right.
Go watch
Upgrade. You know,
and to everybody who hasn't, the best. Like, go watch Upgrade. Budget Tom Hardy is amazing in this movie.
Watch Upgrade. Watch the original M3GAN. Watch Evil Dead 2, like just
Terminator 2.
Terminator 2. Yep.
Yeah.
All the pieces, the horror comedy, the sci-fi action, the AI controlling, like one thing I can say is I thought the guy did kind of funny work as Elon Musk in the final act of the movie. It's like, yeah, this is kind of funny. It's like he just doesn't give a shit because he's a cold billionaire monster dude. But it's going on for so long. It's like, yeah, we get it.
Oh my goodness.
Who cares?
Yeah.
And it just like, I don't know, and maybe this is thinking too much into the movie, but I'm like, if you've been dating this guy, I don't know how long they've been dating, but apparently it's a pretty serious relationship. But if you've been dating this guy, you didn't get any of this in that relationship. Like, we obviously don't spend a whole lot of time with them because the first half of the film, he's barely there. And so we're just supposed to like know they're in a relationship and not really understand
him over like the kid.
Right. Like, is he, I mean, I don't even think he's that charming, but like, you know, even when he wasn't bad, but you know, obviously not her type. I could have told her that. I didn't even need to go through her browsing history. You know. But like we just are supposed to assume the type of relationship they have, but then he ends up turning out being this like super evil self-interest oriented person, and I'm just like, well, you didn't give us a whole lot to work with the relationship, so I have to think like, how are we supposed to buy into that relationship? You just didn't know this about the guy that you were dating? Like, you didn't see any of these signs? That wasn't, I don't know. And this is obviously this is very, very much reading too much into this movie.
No, I don't think it's reading too much into it, because all the characters are like that. Every character is leading you into thinking there's something that they're not. All of them are like that. The rug is constantly pulled out from under you, and that just leads back into the idea of like, they don't know what they're doing. Like, they have these blueprints, right, that we've already labeled, right? They have the upgrade, they have Evil Dead 2, they have Terminator 2, which is where it's most coded. So they have all of these blueprints, but they don't know what to do with any of them. And so every day you're getting a different function of that character, and everybody's kind of two-sided, and you just can't make a competent movie that way. If everyone starts out as one thing and then ends as something else, and it's not actually character growth, you're just like, oh, and by the way, Amelia is actually being controlled by something else. Oh, and then by the way, she's actually self-governant. Oh, and by the way, this guy Christian, he's actually Elon Musk, and he's the bad guy. Oh, and by the way, Jeremiah Clemens is actually dead. And oh, and by the way, he actually owns all of the cloud for the country. Like, just everything everything constantly spirals out of control because they keep trying to do something different without doing something different, and it's so frustrating.
Near the end there, like you were talking about Amelia, this being this, actually this, and then at the end, the kid, she just has M3GAN, the original M3GAN, with her somehow. They type on a computer, and then she just becomes original M3GAN from the first movie. How? That's not set up.
I don't know, right? And you know what? I wish I could have made a little bit more sense of the paperclip analogy that they were giving. Like, there's this whole thing about paper clips, and so when the little paperclip pops up at the end, I'm like,
that doesn't
I didn't get this the first time or the second time. So why are we talking about paper clips?
So the idea is to harken back to M3GAN, right? Is that if you have AI cannot make any kind of decisioning model based on any kind of morality, anything outside of its primary objective. So if you tell it to do something, it's the common theme in all AI films, right? If you give it one singular directive, regardless of your intention for that directive, it will only ever focus on that directive, right? And you see that repeated throughout.
No, the first M3GAN. That's like
it's the first M3GAN. It's when they try to shoehorn another plot point where like the robots that are supposed to be households realize that their objective can be complete if they kill their masters, right? Yeah. So the paperclip analogy is, if you tell an AI bot to create as many paperclips as it can, then its only directive is to make paperclips. And that means it doesn't matter what the sacrifice is, because there's no morality to guide its decision. So if it has to destroy the world to achieve its objective, it will do so because it doesn't see the larger picture. And so the whole idea is that M3GAN is now finding ways to inform her objective with actual emotional intelligence. That's her growth that she keeps talking about. So,
and I get the whole,
and none of that needs to be there, by the way.
It doesn't. That's what, you know what? Maybe that's what I'm getting at. Okay, maybe that's what I'm getting at, because I thought all of that was already implicit. I already understood this. You know, I think the first M3GAN did a pretty good job of like setting up that whole like AI on one mission thing. You know, so anyway, that's just me. I think that's, when it comes to the things that I like about the movie, I again, I wish that I could get an overview of how this production came into, like, formed into what it is, because there's, you know, we're talking about the characters and how they keep changing and keep flipping and the rugs pull out from under us. Like, the movie knows this. Christian says, yeah, I'm going to kill those other two. I don't really know what they do. And I'm like, yeah.
Which is a great line.
It's a great line, but I can't help but wonder if someone threw that in there because they read the script and said, what are these characters doing? You have to justify this, throw this line in there just to like be aware that you're not like it again, that line is really great, but it's so singular because we don't have the consistency of that kind of self-awareness, you know, routinely throughout the film.
That one of those two who does nothing, he falls asleep partway through the third act because they just don't know what to do with them. Really... And then once he's convenient, he just wakes up. Like I don't nitpick like this, but they don't show him falling asleep. And
he's just
I don't know. Like he's not there, or he's there. Yeah. He's not there, and then he's there because they need somebody to help the kid again.
You can't shake hands with self-awareness. You have to embrace it. Yep. You can't high five campiness. You have to give it a full-on bear hug. And that's where M3GAN 2.0 really falters, is it doesn't fully embrace the two things it should do best, which is self-awareness and campiness. And it almost watching the film, it feels like it's constantly fighting against those strengths. Like every time it starts to get going with like, oh yeah, this is funny, this is fun, this is interesting, they're like, no, but we got to make a statement on AI. Like, no, you fucking don't. Like, no, you don't. No one is coming to this for a TED Talk lecture about the dangers and benefits of AI. We have enough of the world ending outside of this bullshit M3GAN movie. Like, can you just let her slay and let things be fun? Dude, the fact that Steven Seagal is a major plot point in this movie, and you do nothing with it. You do nothing with how ridiculous and silly that is. You give me one moment where you rattle off Steven Seagal movie puns, which I adored. But again, it was like, why weren't you doing this the whole time? There are like 50 movies that you can just pun all throughout the entire. Let M3GAN go off on Steven Seagal. Let Steven Seagal be this comedy reference point that guides almost every joke in this movie. Like 5 out of 5 stars. That is amazing to me. That is so fun. And like, again, that's that self-awareness, but you're doing it at arm's length. You're not bringing it all the way in until you need to. But by that time, it's too late. And now, I got to laugh for 30 seconds, but like, I could have been laughing this whole movie. I could have been having a great time.
More often than not, they forget to be funny.
They do. It's so true.
That's a great point, Ethan. Yeah, 100%.
I think the thing I was most disappointed about with this movie is that, and I know the original, I don't know how intentional this was with the original M3GAN, but the original M3GAN was just so good at creating iconic moments. Even the dance scene in the hallway in the first M3GAN, like, who thought of that? I don't know, but it is now like the identity of M3GAN. So much so that, of course, they had to add a dance scene in the second one. And you know, right. But like, I think this movie, it lacks so much of its own identity. Again, Derrick, like you're saying, it can't really embrace anything. It's trying to be too many things. It doesn't really know or really execute what it should be doing. And part of how it does that is just rehashing the first M3GAN, which isn't always a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with bringing back. I mean, they do the bear run thing when she comes out of the fog, and that's something that happened in the first M3GAN as well. But like, where are the iconic moments for this movie? Like, what do I get to leave this movie saying that was iconic? That's like, you know, the updated or the new version of dancing in the hallway. It had nothing that really stood out as something that was staple to this movie. It just was, like we said, boring. It's, you know, kind of aimless and just not iconic. And M3GAN deserves to be iconic.
And AI wrote this script, like, probably.
I feel like AI would have done a better job writing the script. Oh, I shouldn't say that on the air. Oh no.
Cut that part out after.
No, you know, I'll stick to that. I think I don't know if this was a situation where there were too many cooks in the kitchen, or just they rushed production. I don't know, but I think that maybe there were other methods to have written this script.
It's pretty all Gerard Johnstone across the board. Director, writer, story by. So I don't know what went wrong. It's just, it's too many ideas and none of them are all that good. I also, and I remember thinking this with the original M3GAN, but I kind of know why. And now I wish more than ever that they just embrace it. No film has ever begged to be R-rated more than M3GAN 2.0. Like,
after the movie, I looked up. I'm like, this one was PG-13. What about the last one? It was also PG-13.
Yeah,
but it felt a lot more brutal.
Yeah. If you're gonna do it, you have to just do it. Just commit. You're not gonna lose money. We have proven that R-rated movies do not make less money.
Right.
Like, people don't care. Your 13-year-old son will go see M3GAN, whether it's R. Like, they're gonna go see it. Like, you're gonna take them. We all know. So, like, you're not gonna lose any money. And honestly, this movie would have been 30% better if it was just all out violent. Like, because you're right, it's got the whole movie. I was just like, this is brutal without being brutal. It's just not brutal enough. And like, if you just went for it and we just saw blood and we just saw head snapping and we saw the violence that they clearly want to show us but constantly cut away from, I'd kind of be more interested. I'd be a lot more engaged in what they were doing. And honestly, the movie would be more fun.
There was a part where after the singing, Gemma takes out the chip that stops M3GAN from being a murderer. And they don't do anything with that.
Never did anything with that.
That should be a full-on T2 rampage. Like,
absolutely,
you have given Arnold Schwarzenegger permission to go back to his Terminator roots and just kill people. And that's what we should have gotten a whole action sequence of her just brutally murdering random soldiers. And you can even do a bit with Allison Williams coming back and seeing the carnage and being like, you do this again and I'm putting the chip back. And then, you know what I mean? Like, and that's funny. That's funny. That's fun. That's playing with the nature of the film. That's playing with all the different mediums and things that you can do. And like, you get a joke, you get violence, and you get to move on. And like, that's all this movie needs to do. And it just refuses to do it at every turn.
Yeah, what a shame. It's so interesting how last week we discussed a film 28 years later and left more positive on that film after the discussion. This one I'm feeling is probably the opposite. I already left the movie negative, but I think after this discussion, I'm even more negative because as we kind of banter about what this movie could have been, man, what a waste, right? And I put this in my reaction to the spirit of M3GAN is alive, right? Like, I think the movie understands the essence of M3GAN the doll. But the movie is such a downgrade from the first M3GAN. And I hope that they move forward with the M3GAN 3. I don't know how they do that. 3 is already in M3GAN. So like M3GAN 3.0, I don't know how they'll title it, but I hope that they move forward with another one and really learn a lot of lessons from this movie.
Do you want them to do a third one?
I do. I really do. In fact, I don't cross it over with Chucky. I don't know. Like, just go crazy because there's still so much potential with M3GAN. I think this whole movie had a chip on it, like just really handicapping what M3GAN could be. And the potential is not the essence. This movie does not warrant a sequel, but M3GAN does. And I would love to see an unhinged M3GAN, R-rated, campy, cheesy, and just really going for it. And I would like to see that. I don't want to see this movie again though. Ethan, like I guess as we wrap up, how now that we've had this conversation, what's your feeling on M3GAN now? M3GAN 2.0?
Don't watch it. Like, I don't know what else to say. It's like, you could save money to go see Superman next week or 2 weeks. You could watch 28 Years Later again and change your mind like Derrick.
Yeah. Yeah. It works so much better on a rewatch, guys. I'm telling you.
Yeah, there's just nothing I can say. It's just nothing.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Derrick, any shifts in your opinion since this conversation?
No, I kind of agree with Ethan too. I mean, I gave it 2.5 stars, and honestly, that extra half star was because I just really loved the Steven Seagal puns. But yeah, with this discussion and just kind of just realizing that there's even less here than I had originally thought walking out of the theater. Like as we're trying to like we're literally vamping to talk
Really
more
trying.
about this movie. Like there is no reason we need to talk about this movie for more than 10 minutes because there's
Right.
not 10 minutes worth of stuff to talk about in this entire 2-hour movie. And so for that, like, yeah, I actually think I'm leaving even more negative on it. And I was already pretty down on it, which it's such a big disappointment because there is a lot of potential. She can be an icon. Like she really can be. She has all of the ability and framework to be a true horror sci-fi comedy icon. She can do those things. But when you do something like this and you really don't give her the ability to do that, yeah, I don't want to see an apology movie, which would be whatever the third one is. Like, I just don't like, you know what I mean? Like, unless you're going to do it and you're going to do all these things and you're going to make it R and you're going to embrace all the campiness and you're going to let her basically be front and center. If you're not going to do any of that, like, please don't feed another one of these to me. I don't want to see it. And so to Ethan's point, like literally go do anything else, because if we all shell out our money for this movie, like we're going to get an even worse third one. And I don't know that I want it. So
that's entirely valid. Entirely valid. All right, guys. Well, I think Derrick said it best. There's not 10 minutes of conversation to be had about this movie, and somehow we had more than 30 minutes. And so
I think most of that was Denis Villeneuve and
it was.
So I think we filled the time nicely.
We filled the time nicely. I think we accomplished our objective, even if M3GAN didn't. But yeah, we have more blockbusters and more summer movies to talk about in the coming weeks. As Ethan mentioned, Superman's coming out. Jurassic World. I'm hearing positive things about it. No. Okay.
I won't be here for that.
No, I don't care what people are coming out of this to be like, oh my god, T-Rex, it's great, 5 out of 5. Get the fuck out of here. Stop it. Like, just stop. There's one good Jurassic Park movie, and you cannot convince me otherwise.
That's another one that kind of lost the assignment, I think. Like I'd love Jurassic Park as a horror film. I don't know why it ever moved to the action comedy. I liked it as a horror film. I liked it as a horror drama.
Not to go on too long, but like Jurassic Park, Jurassic Park is one of the greatest cinematic experiences of all time. Like just the innovation, the creativity, the filmmaking, the everything about that movie is near perfect. Like it's pace. Like it is just a near perfect movie for me. And there has never been anything even close to it from 2, 3, whatever these reboots are. And to this, like, I even from the trailer, I'm just like, okay, like this looks like fucking Dominion and Jurassic World and Jurassic World Volcano and just everything that's bad about these movies, it feels like is in here. And I don't care how big of a crush you have on Jonathan Bailey. Like, I need people to understand that your favorite actor and your man crush or woman crush or whatever is capable of making bad movies. It's okay. You don't have to like them any less. But they are capable of making bad movies, and you don't need to come away from anything that they're in and somehow being like a bastion for their, like, they don't need you to do that. It's okay. It's all right. Just let them make a bad movie and they'll be in another good one later. It's really okay. We don't need to tell ourselves stories that movies are good just because this person is in it. That's just not how movies work. And I need everybody to back the fuck off. Like, I know that Jonathan Bailey is everybody's new pant busting crush, but like, he's been in like 2 films, guys. Like, he's not the savior of cinema. Calm down. Like, calm your tits. Like, it's okay. God. All right, end rant. Sorry.
End rant. Ethan, since I do not have any anticipation of covering the new Jurassic World movie, but we are probably socially obligated as a movie podcast to talk about it. Do you have any thoughts about your interest level in the Jurassic World franchise?
No, I got nothing to say, but I gotta catch a train.
Yeah.
I saw Jurassic Park when I was a kid. That's it.
This is great.
All right.
We're wrapping up. Ethan, Derrick, thank you guys for joining me in this conversation about M3GAN 2.0. Sorry I had to put you all through that, but there will hopefully be better movies throughout the summer that we'll talk about. So anyway, thanks for joining, everyone. Thanks for watching. Until next time, we will see you here on ForReel.